You're listening to Big World Network.
Phineas Frakture and the Dolomite, Episode 11. Written by Joseph Gatch. Read by Michael Young. Flames shot into the early morning sky, followed by billowing smoke and dust. The constable and the two civilians turned just in time to see the entire warehouse district sink into the ground. When the air cleared, everything was covered with dust and soot, and other than the squawking of angry birds, the air was still and silent. The trio looked at the giant crater in front of them with a sense of surrealism, not comprehending the enormity of the sight before them. A different kind of rumble began to build, and they realized that the harbor was now in the process of expanding itself. Water came rushing in and quickly filled the hole. "How deep is that?" asked the constable. "Deep," said William. "And there are Dolomite down there, you say?" "Hopefully not any more." "I just came off my shift. Let someone else do the paperwork." The constable turned and walked away, shaking his head and beginning his search for an open alehouse. "Do you think he made it?" asked Abigail. "Of course he did. We can't get rid of him this easily." A crowd began to gather to look at the sight. Many were workers on their way to their jobs in the warehouses. Some cheered, while others grumbled, owners looking despondent as their livelihoods were submerged under millions of gallons of water. No one else seemed to pay attention to the half-dressed duo who stood on the edge of the new lake, except one. "You really are getting fat, old man. No more crullers for you in the morning." William and Abigail turned quickly and scanned the crowd. They spotted Phineas, covered in muck and who knows what else, limping towards them. He was slightly singed, but for the most part looked in good shape. Abigail smiled, and William held out his arms to hug his friend, accidentally dropping his wrap in the process. "I have seen some disturbing sights tonight, but this is definitely the worst of it," said Phineas, keeping his distance. Suddenly realizing his predicament, William scooped up his skirt and tied it again. "A handshake will do," Phineas said, clasping his friend's free hand. "Are they finished?" William asked. Phineas looked over the crowd. "Inferno, crushing rock, and a lake to boot. I think it might be safe to say yes. If not, then we will deal with them when they resurface. Anyway, there is no way to create any more of them, so if there are any left, they pose no real threat. Their supply of gas is no longer available. It will only be a matter of time now." He looked around at his surroundings. "Where are we?" "Warehouse district," said Abigail. "You just submerged half of New York's import business." "Really? I could have sworn that we were under City Hall. Must have gotten my direction mixed up down there. Oh well, no matter. I figured that we had done the city 2 services in one fell swoop." "Maybe next time." A look of concern crossed his face, and he looked at William. "Hold on a minute, William. What the devil did you do with my coil?" Phineas then collapsed from sheer exhaustion. Phineas awoke to bright sunlight streaming through his bedroom window. From the angle, he judged that it was approximately noon. He was clean and in his night clothes. However, he had no recollection as to how he came to be back in his home. The door opened, and Mrs. Popkiss entered, bearing a tray with coffee and a breakfast of eggs and bacon. "Well, good afternoon. It's about time you woke up." "I've only been asleep for about 7 hours," replied Phineas. "Try a day in 7 hours. It's Monday afternoon." "Monday!" Phineas exclaimed, sitting bolt upright. "My classes!" "Don't you worry yourself. I've sent word to the headmaster that you're feeling a bit under the weather and needed a day off." "Anything else?" "Like what?" asked Mrs. Popkiss. "That you spent your weekend blasting a giant hole in the middle of the city while battling monsters? Please, I kept your excuse believable." Phineas took the tray. "Your timing has always amazed me," he said as he wolfed down the bacon. "Well, you were shouting at your students in your sleep. When you do that, I know that I have about half an hour before you wake up." "Is that why I always feel stressed when I wake up?" Figures. What of William and Abigail?
They dropped you off and said that you will see them when you're up to it. They also said that you did very well for yourself. Are you all right?
Phineas took a bite of eggs and looked at the ceiling. More than you can imagine.
I guess that we can both put our ghosts to rest now, can't we?
Yes, replied Phineas. I believe we can. The housekeeper was just about to leave when he suddenly said, Mrs. Popkiss, would you mind terribly doing me a favor?
Anything, dear.
Please box up the contents of this room. I won't be needing them any more. There are also papers in my coat that can go as well. Just put them in the storage.
Consider it done, sir.
After going through his morning routine, Phineas picked up the Post, whose headline read, Mystery Hero Destroys Dolomite Lair. Speculation abounded as about what had happened into the warehouse district, and of a man carried off from the scene. His reverie was cut short by the front bell. Shortly after, the bellowing voice of William Patterson carried through the house. In here, William, Phineas called from his study. A small package sailed through the doorway and landed in his lap. What's this? Phineas asked as William entered. Your blasted coil, of course. I had to scour 3 alleys to find it. I should charge you for rummaging through garbage. Funny. Didn't you smell what I went through to find you? All night long, unfortunately. How do you feel? Well, very well, actually. And you? William hesitated. I've been affected. Phineas raised an eyebrow. How so? William unbuttoned his shirt to reveal a patch of skin on his chest that was discolored, and where the muscle underneath seemed to be pronounced. Phineas took a close look at it. It appears to be localized. I wouldn't worry too much, though. The notes I found stated that the process took time, with constant exposure. It may clear up in time. And if it doesn't? Then claim that it's a burn or something. Make up something heroic, like a story about rescuing a cake from a burning building. Just tell me if you start getting urges to drag hapless victims off into the night, or start killing chickens in your sleep. Very funny. Now, the reason I'm here, besides your witty humor, there are men poking around the new lake and asking questions. I believe they are with the army, though they're not wearing uniforms. Abigail already said they were asking her questions. She denied everything, but she doesn't think they believed her. Keep an eye out for them. And you as well. They do not need to know what went on down there. Abigail is concerned about you, Phineas. She said you changed while down there. I'm not sure what she meant, but it scared her. It was the stress of the situation, nothing more, Phineas lied. He knew what she meant. He saw a side of himself that he had kept repressed for so long. It had taken over, made him strong when he needed most. He almost relished it. I'm sure, said William, unconvinced. Well, I'd better be off. Much to do. I'll let you know if this, he thumped his chest, changes. Hopefully you're right. Hopefully. Enjoy your day. Now I know there is something wrong with you. You're pleasant for once. Phineas waved him off and then set to mentally reviewing what he had read about the transformation process, just in case.
You're listening to Big World Network.